Hi you guys, it's Karina. So I am back with another video tutorial, and this time it's on my template 43, which is this flower right here. So the last video I made here on YouTube is this marigold right here, which is template 44. So you can find that tutorial now available here on YouTube. But it's been a while since I've done this one. I think it was 2 years ago that I made a tutorial on template 43. And since I am working on an altar for the Day of the Dead and I need marigold flowers, I figured perfect timing, let's make a new tutorial on her. So we will be making this style right here, as mentioned, my template 43. So let's go to my desk and let's go get ready. Okay, you guys, so let's get started. So we're gonna make this marigold right here, and as you can tell, it is a two-toned colored petal. So we do use 2 petals to achieve this look. Now you can just strictly stay and just use one solid color if you would like. Personally, when I made this marigold, I was inspired by this marigold type of flower that kind of looked like it had 2 layers, or I should say like 2 coloring. So this is where this came about. So pretty much this is the style that I go for whenever I make this marigold. Now I do have that other marigold style that I showed you, this one, which as you can see, it's more of a rounder style, which I think it's the more common marigold that you see. But when I created these templates, I definitely wanted to create both templates just to have that variety. So let's get started. So with template 43, you are going to receive 23 petals, which is it's a lot of petals. So you are going to receive some outer petals, which would be these right here, which are like more of your heart-shaped petals, and you do receive 13 petals of these. Okay, so you see a lot of them right here, but that's because they're double. But there's going to be 13 of these, and then you are going to receive 10 of your inner petals, which are going to be this layer right here in the center. Okay, now the marigold, any size that you make is assembled exactly the same way. So if you're going to be making the smaller one or the larger one, you're going to be using the same amount of petals and the same technique. Okay, now there is already a video tutorial here that I made, I want to say roughly around 2 years ago. It was more on a blue kind of marigold. I just wanted to do something different. Now definitely refer to that video because I do go over the SVG, what the SVG looks like, because you are able to use your Cricut machine or Silhouette to cut out the petals. So I do kind of go a little overview of that. And you also do get the PDF, okay? And on that tutorial too, I kind of explain to you more on which petals to use. I kind of go more in depth in that video tutorial. So I don't want to repeat myself since I already have that video there for you. So definitely refer to that one if you want to get, so you can kind of see more the explanation of which petals go with which. I'll kind of do a short overview here, but if you want more of a better one, go to that video. Okay, so let me get my petals. So as you can see, my petals are prepped over here. Okay, so I'm going to show you quickly just kind of how to do the layering technique, but I'm going to show you which petals to use. Okay, so like I said, you get 13 petals right here. So for this flower that we're going to be making, we're going to make a slightly larger flower than this one. So this flower was done using the smaller petals. Okay, so this is kind of the size roughly that you will be able to make, which is roughly around 10 inches of the marigold. Okay, so that's the smallest that you'll be able to make. Now if you do a single color, then maybe roughly around 9 inches. But for today, we are going to be omitting the first one, so move her out of the way, and you are going to be omitting the second smallest, so take that one away. Okay, so then you are going to gather your third petal. You're going to need your fourth petal, your fifth petal, and your sixth petal. Okay, so you are going to need 4 petals for this one. Now over here, so I'm going to get rid of these. You're going to repeat the same thing. You are going to omit the first 2 smallest, get rid of them. And then you are going to need the 2nd petal, 3rd petal, and 4th petal. So you're only going to need 3, okay? So these are the ones that you are going to need. Okay, so how this works is so even though we have, if we look here at this flower, there are 3 layers that require the heart-shaped petals. But as you can see here, we have 4 heart-shaped petals. And that's because we're going to be doing the layering technique, which means the first layer, it's going to require these 2 petals. Okay, so then the 2nd layer is going to require the 2nd largest with the next petal, because this one's going to be layered with this one. And then for the 3rd layer, you're going to do this petal with the last one. Okay, and that goes for this one as well, because in the center we only have 2 layers, but we have 3 petals here. So that means the first 2 are going to go together to create your first layer, and then the 2nd largest and smaller one is going to be your 2nd layer. I hope that makes sense. Okay, and you're going to need 5 petals of each. Okay, so for this one, this is the first layer, as you can see. So I have 5 of them. And then the 2nd layer, we're going to have 5 as well. And then the 3rd layer is going to require 5. And then along with these inner petals, you're going to need 5, okay? Now, I'm going to show you what I use to glue them. Let me move these out of the way. Where is my, okay, so I'm going to use my brayer right here. This helps me roll out the petals. And then I am going to be using the Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. This is my all-time favorite. Love it. It is from Amazon. You can get them off Amazon. I don't know if you can find them at the craft stores. I typically just get them from Amazon. Okay, so what you're going to do is add glue to the back of your petals. Now, you don't need to use this glue. You can definitely use glue sticks if you have those. So you're just going to grab that smaller petal and then just place her in the center, just like that. Now, I like to use my brayer and just kind of roll just to make sure that glue is sticking. Yeah, I'm gonna put my pin in here real quick so it doesn't dry out. So now you're going to want a wooden dowel. So for your petal prep, you're going to curl some petals and inward and some back, and then some, then you're going to do the opposite of some back and then some inwards, if that makes sense. So then you're just going to curl them to your liking, and then you're going to grab your scissors. Okay, and you are going to cut in the center. You're going to add glue and then just glue that bottom. So you're going to do this to all of them. Small amount of glue and just hold. Okay, and then you're going to do the same thing for this one. Now for your inner ones, notice that both ends are curled forward. So you are going to just get your wooden dowel and curl those ends forward just like that. And then you're just going to cut in the center. Add your glue. And then just glue. Just like that. Okay, we are going to start off with the largest of the petals, and we're going to glue the 5 around in this circle. We're going to place a small amount of glue to the end here, and then you're going to place your petal. You're going to want to alternate the curl. So see how this curls forward, this one's back. Now this one's forward. So the next one is going to be back. And then the last one, because this is not even, it is an odd number of petals, it's just going to, you can repeat it, either have the same one curled back or curled forward. That's up to you. And add your glue. And then this is what you should have. Now you're going to have that circle in the center. You are going to want to cover that up. So let me grab some scrap here that I have. Just gonna shape out a circle. So we're just gonna add that to the center, just like that. So now you're gonna go with the next large size, okay? And now notice how these 2 petals are curled back. So then I'm gonna go ahead and get the one that is curled forward. And I am just gonna glue that here. Now in that other tutorial, refer to it. I'll see if I can link it down below, that other one that I told you where I go more in depth, because I do show you which petals to use if you want to make like the larger petals, which on it would be just the first 4 and the first 3 of the inner centers. But definitely refer to that video. It would be helpful. So we're gonna go to the next petal. So notice this petal is the one that's curled back. This one is curled forward. Back. All right, so we are done with that layer. So that was the second layer. We are on to the next layer, your third layer. So I am gonna place the next one. So notice petals are curled forward. So I'm gonna find one that's curled back. Do watch your fingers with hot glue. Now I am using 65-pound cardstock weight for both, okay, for the layering. I don't think I mentioned that. And it is from Michael's. Both colors are from Michael's. So definitely, because you are layering cardstock over cardstock, this is definitely going to be a flower that is heavy. So just keep that in mind. Now, if you wanted to do cardstock for the back and then text weight for the top, you could also do that. Okay, so we are done with that third layer. So now we are on to the inner petals. Okay, so there are these petals right here. And we are just going to go around in a circle and glue them. So go in between the petals. So it's definitely not a hard flower to make. What's going to be time consuming is obviously if you're going to be doing this layering technique, then that's going to be your most time consuming part, is layering the petals. But other than that, once you assemble, it's super simple. And again, you don't have to do the layering technique if you don't want to. You can just do one solid color. Then that means you're only going to stick to 3 petals for your heart-shaped petals, and then you're only going to stick to 2 petals. I'll show you in a minute once I get the petals. So we're on to our last layer. And you're just going to stick that in the center. And we are all done. So now we are left with a center. Now, typically for my go-to center, which is the one we're going to be making, it's just this one right here, this simple palm that you can use with scissors. But if you don't feel like cutting, you can also go onto your Cricut. Now this is Cricut. I don't know if Silhouette has anything similar, but this is the palm image called Marigold. It's actually called Marigold. And you can do that as a puffy center if you want. That's also very adorable. But I wanted to show you guys just another center that required no cutting machine in case you don't have a cutting machine and you're hand cutting only. Then I wanted to show you how to make this, which honestly, it's super simple. So you're going to pick any color cardstock you want. Typically, I do the color of the outer petal just so it kind of like alternates. So that is the color that we're going to be using. Okay, so just kind of give you a general idea how I do this. Like, how could I say? I'm not an expert when it comes to this. Like, I just do what works for me. So what I like to do is get a measuring tape and kind of figure out height-wise how tall I want this center to be, okay? So I'm going to get myself a measuring tape and kind of just give myself an idea how tall I want this center to be. And I think I want it around 3 inches. So then I am going to get some piece of paper, and then I am going to measure out roughly around 3. It's not going to be perfect. I'm not trying to, it's not going to be perfect. I'm not going to, like, you know, get a ruler and make sure the lines are perfect. No, I'm just going to eyeball this. All right, so this should be roughly around 3 inches. Okay, so this is an 8.5 by 11. Okay, so I do have it the long ways. So now what you're going to do, now this is what I like to do just to cut on time. I fold it in half, and then I am just going to fringe. So you're just going to cut strips. Now make sure that you don't go all the way up, because then you're just going to cut the strips off. Up to you how wide or thin you want to make them. I'm going to open her up, and then here in the center, I'm gonna give that one a little cut more. And then any ones that you see that need a little extra cutting, just go ahead and do that. So this is what you should have. Now, I do believe that Cricut also has an image that's similar to this. Again, if you don't want to cut, I don't remember the name though, but I'm pretty sure they have something similar to this image. And so then now you are just going to roll it out. Now that goes for the palm image too that I showed you. I kind of do the same technique where I measure the inside and then just from there go on my Cricut and kind of play with the measurements. And then I'm just gonna add glue here. Watch your fingers. Gonna let that dry, and then you're gonna just open her up. You can definitely add 2 if you wanted to make this more fuller. I necessarily do not want that, so I'm just gonna stick to just 1. And then I'm gonna add glue. And then glue her in the center. All right, you guys, and the marigold is all done. Super cute, absolutely love her. And here is the smaller one. So as you can see, it is slightly larger. Let's see how big this one is. All right, so this one is roughly around 12.5 inches, okay? So the smaller one here is roughly 10, and this one is 12.5, okay? So remember, like I said, if you want to only stick with a 1 layered and not 2, then that means the petals are going to be slightly different. Instead of 4, then you would use the first 3. And then instead of 3 over here, then you would use the first 2, okay? Because remember that in order to make this marigold, there are 3 layers that have the heart shape and 2 layers for the inner center, okay? It's only when you're doubling up the layers, then that's when you're using 4 on this side and 3 on this side, okay? And again, please refer to that video that I said that I made around 2 years ago, because I do go more in depth with which petals to use for what, okay? So let me just show you like the top ones. If you're going to make the largest one, then you would use the first 4 if you're going to be doubling up the petals, and then you're going to be using the top 3 to go with it, okay? So I hope you found that helpful. Template can be found on my Etsy. It will be linked below. If you have any questions, any issues downloading the SVG, please message me either my Instagram, or not Instagram, email arielelisedesigns@gmail.com, or my Etsy, Ariel Elise Designs. I am on TikTok and I am on Instagram, but I'll be honest, I'm not as active as I used to be once, just because my life, I have 4 kids and my life is very busy. But I am very quick with my emails along with Etsy. Okay, so like again, you can find all my templates there. So again, this is template 43, my marigold inspired template, and I will chat with you guys later. Bye.